tell everyone your name.
My name is Krista Roberts.
And how many children have you got?
I have 4 children, and my youngest, Valerie, is 20. She has severe autism.
Okay, talk to us about, we'll have a first question. When you were pregnant with her, could I have said you were an anti-vaxxer?
No. No, I don't really think I had an opinion either way. I just did what I was told, and I thought it was best, so.
You just did what the doctor told you
Yeah.
to do? Okay, so what happened to her? What was she like when she was born?
Well, when she was born, she was healthy as far as we knew. We didn't, as far as her APGAR scores were good. She stayed for a few extra days in the hospital, I think because they said her weight was, she was losing a little too much weight. But other than that, she was perfectly healthy.
Do you remember did she have vaccines while she was in hospital?
No, she didn't have any actual vaccines, but I'm pretty positive that she had the vitamin K shot.
Sure.
And she was born in 1997, so, and that particular, for some reason, those kids in our area at the time were getting the Hep B shot at their 2-month vaccines, their first one, and she got her, vaccines pretty much on time.
And when did you start to notice there's something wrong with her?
Right around the time she was about 2 months old, I'd say between 2 and 3 months old. When we would hold her out in front of us, how babies will push with their feet and try to act like they're trying to stand up, and she wouldn't do that. We noticed that she wasn't gaining strength in her legs. From the waist down, she seemed to be very weak. She could move her legs, but she couldn't hold any weight on them.
So did you think at that point, oh my gosh, it's the vaccines?
No, we were in denial for probably about a good year. My mother-in-law, who had raised 6 kids, she told me, well, she's just, taking her sweet time. She's just kind of a lazy baby. She'll do things on her own. And I tended to refer to her when it came to matters of child care because she'd had a lot of kids. So, and even my husband was in denial about it. He just thought she was kind of a lazy baby, so didn't want to, just that she would do things on her own time. And so then when she was about a year old, we were getting ready to move from Florida to Texas. My husband was offered a really good job there that had really good benefits, and so we got her a good pediatrician, and we got her a referral to a good pediatric neurologist, and he diagnosed her with hypotonia. And she started crawling at about 15 months and started pulling herself up, I think, about 1.5 years, and she was 2 before she walked. But the pediatric neurologist was able to get us started with early intervention. So, and he ordered a bunch of tests for her, including a nerve steady conduction and a muscle biopsy. And I remember when she had the EMG nerve steady conduction, she was about 16 months old, I think. And the doctor that did the study said that it was like her nerves were defibrillating. And shortly after that, she had the muscle biopsy. Everything came back normal except her mitochondria. Her mitochondria was, I believe the doctor's words were, high enough for 10 adults, and she was only 1.5 years old at that point. So, and they even sent us to a special hospital in Dallas. It was the Scottish Rite Children's Hospital. They did more tests. They referred us to genetics, did more testing. Couldn't find anything wrong with her, and the neurologist actually admitted to us that he at first thought she had had Worden-Kaufman's disease, which would have accounted for her low muscle tone, but it would have also, depending on which type she had, it would have been fatal eventually.
All right. So today, what's it like? What's her life like?
Valerie is she's 20 years old today, and my husband and I have full guardianship over her. she finally started talking with spontaneous speech, probably say about 3 years ago.
Do you attribute anything to that?
Yes, she had some good in-home therapy. We were taking her outside the home for therapy, and here in Oklahoma we found a very good place that does therapy in the home. They'll send speech therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, whatever, out to your home and work with your child. And once she was in an environment that she was comfortable in, and she had people that, respected her way of learning and weren't trying to force her into, ways of learning that weren't working for her.
Right.
She started
So once she was
doing
treated
really
with the
well.
respect she deserves.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. She started finally talking. She has had echolalia for years. She's always had that, but she wouldn't almost no spontaneous speech.
Okay, so does she live at home with you?
Yes.
And have you got in line for her future when you guys are not around?
We don't know. The future is a big question mark right now. My husband really wanted to be here today, but unfortunately he is disabled and he has many chronic health issues, and we didn't think it would be a good idea for him to
You've got a lot on your plate, haven't you?
Yes. And he has since he's not able to work, I have to work, and he stays home, and he's her primary caretaker.
Now, what do you do?
I'm a massage therapist.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So what is your advice to people with vaccines?
My advice is read the package inserts. Don't let yourself be bullied into vaccinating. Give yourself time to research it, because once the damage is done, it's done. I mean, you can always go back and vaccinate later if you feel like you have to, but once it's done, it's done. When my daughter was going through all those tests and we were trying to figure out what was wrong with her, nobody told us that it could be the vaccines.
No, and they may never, by the way. But we're listening to your story. You're the mum. She's your daughter.
Yeah.
You are the expert on your child,
Yes.
not them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and my husband was actually the one who originally told me he thought it was the vaccines, and at first even I kind of poo-pooed the idea. I thought the millions of kids get vaccinated. No, it can't be that. But then he showed me the RFK Jr.'s work and some of what he had written about it, and that's when I started to believe it. And then I realized that we didn't really have a lights out moment with Valerie. We had lights weren't completely on with Valerie, and I believe I saw a video that Dr. Wakefield did a while ago where he was talking about regressive autism, and then he mentioned that there were some kids that were so early on that you really didn't notice it.
Well, that's why they're vaccinating the pregnant mothers now, so that they're born like that, so they can say, I'm sorry, it's genetic, your child was born like that.
Yeah, and I just don't understand that logic. I mean, like, how can people just ignore the fact that pregnant women are being given flu, some cases twice, they're given the flu vaccine twice, then they get bullied into getting the DTaP or Tdap vaccine, and then when something's wrong with the baby, they say it's genetic, and then they inject the baby with 100 micrograms of aluminum at birth with the vitamin K shot, and then more with the Hep B. So, I mean, but after my husband and I saw the movie Vaxxed, we both agreed that if we had known 28 years ago when our first daughter was born that what we know now, none of our kids would have been vaccinated at all, ever.
No.
So they never would have even had the first shot.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry that you have it really tough.
Yeah. I mean, this point we just don't know what's going to happen to her after we're both gone.
Well, you know, are you friends with all these lovely Oklahoma people?
Yes.
Good, because they're great. They are some really fantastic people here. I think there's going to be big things coming from Oklahoma.
Yeah, and the waiting list for services here, my daughter's on the waiting list here for services, but she's, last I heard, it was 11 or 12 years long.
I bet it is. Bet it's going to be longer than that soon if they don't sort themselves out. Also, you be careful what services they're thinking of putting your daughter in, because 99.9% of them are not okay.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to stay in contact. Everybody here is sending you lots of hearts and love. You'll say, oh.
Thank you.
And, yeah. And you're getting sparkly hearts, which I haven't seen many people get today. So people are sending you lots of big love.
Well, thank you everyone for all the love.
Okay, we're coming off, guys. We have more. We have more. Oh no, we have more. We have more.